What's up, everybody? This is Karak with ACG, and welcome to a discussion video. Let's talk a little bit about Kickstarter. Let's talk about System Shock, the remake or reimagining, and also why it was put on hiatus yesterday. I think this is really interesting news, especially for any of you guys who follow Kickstarter, who follow games, who originally played System Shock or were interested in the new one. Now remember, this has nothing to do with System Shock 3, which is being made. I will discuss that a little bit as well. The first thing I want to do is discuss a little bit about the Kickstarter. So in about 2015, System Shock Remake hit the Kickstarter page. Basically what this was the idea that there would be some changes to the gameplay systems, but not a ton, at least at that time. There were some stretch goals, but many of them were just related to doing things with the devs and getting little audio log changes. And overall, it was more, I would say, in the remake category that we expect now. Not necessarily remake plus or reimagining, but sort of in that lower category. They ended up getting over 21,000 backers. They ended up getting over $1.3 million for this, and they started moving forward. And they really did realize that a lot of people wanted this. Now, I want people to remember that a lot of people wanted this. There's a really good chance a lot of people from that time era wanted it. Now, some people who are newer to gaming, I'm sure certainly did, but of course, this was, at that time, a remake focused and sort of aimed and targeted towards those people who had played the original, or at least had heard about it and told others, and that information sort of flowed. What's interesting here, though, is as the development progressed, we find out from the CEO, Steve Kick, that they just lost focus. They lost focus when it comes to the system. They switched from Unity to Unreal when it comes to graphics engines. They lost the ability to sort of track how many different systems were going on and all these different systems that they wanted to add into the game. And so sort of in a last-ditch effort in the last couple months, what they did was they created, you can call it a demo reel, but you create something that somebody can see that's sort of representative of what you want to do. It's a little bit like the Kickstarter main page in the first place. Remembering, of course, this is important, that Kickstarter, one of the reasons why it helps smaller devs is because it can remove or loosen just a little bit of that noose between them and the publisher and allow just a little bit more of a leeway there between the developer and the publisher for one of two reasons. One, money. You just have money when you start up, and you can say, we can do this much with the amount of money we got from Kickstarter. The second, and somewhat softer, but I think actually a little bit more important, I guess you would call it metric from Kickstarter, is your backers, your number of backers, because you can point to a publisher and you can say, we've got 21,000 backers who want this game. If we've got that many backers who want the game, there's probably a good number, a good percentage that would do, would end up getting it regardless if they're doing the Kickstarter. Also, these are the stretch goals we're hitting, so that indicates particular things as well. There's a lot of calculations that are done there. So back to what I was saying, Steve Kick said that they basically created this vertical reel, this reel that shows what they wanted to do, and they wanted to show it to publishers, and they showed it to publishers and no publishers bit. Now, the reason why I brought this up in the first place is because this is sort of going full circle. You start Kickstarter to sort of get away from that and get a game created that probably wouldn't get created or get greenlit right now. And then you turn around and you have to start showing the publishers a game, not only that at that time probably, was I would say one of those titles that a certain type of gamer liked, but now you're moving into the future and you're saying, let's show a publisher today System Shock of yesterday. So let's add some systems because we want to sell it to the publisher. Well, then at some point you have to look at it and go, is it really System Shock? Where's the overlap between, let's say, a System Shock remake and System Shock 3, which is still being made, if these new systems are put in place? But additionally, you are now talking to publishers, many of whom have probably never played System Shock, many of whom probably have no history with System Shock, many of whom don't really understand what made that special in the first place. And you, to sell to them, have to add things from current gaming conceits to get people to actually support your game, to get a publisher to say, okay, now we can do this. So in a weird way, it's full circle. It's completely full circle back into this point to where it's like, we want to do this, maybe not lean, mean kind of situation, but we certainly want to do this game that's got a slightly leaner number of audience members who may get it. We've seen some good backer numbers and some good amount of money, and there's people who backing it, and then it doesn't sort of work out. They've had some losses of money here or there. They've switched their engine, and now to sell it to publishers now and to get more money, or even investors now, we can remove the publishers even from this now, you have to sort of add in today's gameplay conceits, which they've even admitted that they had new systems that they were building in. And many of those new systems, just because of the people building them and their age, are of course going to be some quality of life changes that we see now in current games. I think it's really vital to look at how Kickstarter is done, look at how those stretch goals are done, and sort of, first of all, as any kind of backer, understand that really you have no real control. You put that money in, you can sort of assume it's gone. But what I want to know from you guys is, do you? Are you the type of person, did you support these guys? Are you the type of person that just sits back and says, you know what, let them do what they want to do? Stephen Kick, the CEO, says that within 18 to 24 months, we will get some kind of remake of System Shock. What is, at least I think, very important to look at here is, due to the way the money was spent and how they tried to do various things in the initial phase of this, most likely what we will get is a very static remake of System Shock. It will be really interesting to see if somebody jumps in and gives them enough to then put in new systems and do all these new things and do all this testing, because that's going to require its own balancing that the original game didn't. Understanding that this was, at least at first, pretty much just a remake of the original. So I want to know what you guys think. I want to know if you guys support these kind of changes, what you think of System Shock and the way this Kickstarter's been handled yourselves. I think that it's super interesting. I didn't back it myself, but I really do hope that within 18 to 24 months, people do get a return on their money. But I want to know what you guys think. Put it in the comments. Please try to be nice as you can, but it's very interesting. I think that it's something that, as gamers moving forward, especially when we want to support the indies, you want to support those Kickstarters, you want to support whatever group you want to support, that we sort of understand what's going on behind the scenes. And I really do have to say, it was nice to get that backer update and sort of see what the CEO had said was going on. I think that was sort of cool, because sometimes these things just disappear. So anyway, that's it for me. I hope you liked the video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. Maybe check out Twitter, Reddit, or of course Patreon, where you can help me continue to make videos like this and reviews that aren't 2 minutes long or filled with sponsored bullcrap. Peace out and enjoy the rest of your week.